exclusive article which Councillor Phil Davies, the leader of the council, gave to the Wirral Globe online. Because I simply couldn't believe that he was seriously thinking that this constitution that we've got before us tonight is actually going to return normality to Wirral. The article, Phil, I have to say, is full of spin, and you talk about more transparency and devolving power from the centre. But then later on, in exactly the same article, you talk about enhancing the role of executive members. So that's not spin. That's just absolutely turning your previous statement firmly on its head. So, Mr. Mayor, what really bothers me about what's before us tonight is that I truly believe that the Constitution should be and must be the document which is the bedrock and the foundation of how this council actually goes about delivering services to the public that we're all sent here to serve. It's a document above all others that must not be divisive and certainly has to be fair to all members of the council. And if we can ensure that we meet that criteria, then it should enable the Constitution not only to serve the present administration, but should be there to pass on to any future administration, irrespective of what political makeup that is. I fear, though, Mr. Mayor, that whatever has presented before us tonight falls short on many of those aspirations of mine. As in most comprehensive documents, of course, the devil is always in the detail, and the devil is fairly and squarely seated in this Constitution. Because on first glance, when you look at the Constitution, you may be forgiven for thinking that it is fair and equitable, but you only have to scratch a little way beneath the surface, and you really see that there is far differing approach to what we would want. This before us tonight places power firmly and squarely in the hands of only a few. The all-powerful administration can then ensure that ordinary members will be excluded from fair debate and kept away from decisions at the Town Hall. And we were then told in the most patronising way that that will ensure that we get on with engaging our communities. Well, I have to say that members on this side of the council chamber always have got on with serving and engaging with their communities. We all do that, the members on this side of the chamber, since the day that we're elected. But Mr. Mayor, what's even more worrying is if you scratch just a little deeper under the surface, then you discover that this council has probably learned absolutely nothing, George, from our failures of the past. And other members have talked about the removal of children and young people in adult social care and health and wellbeing scrutiny committees. In short, Mr. Mayor, that is foolish, but it is also outright dangerous. And as colleagues have said, their remits are huge, and each of them deserves separate scrutiny functions. And if we're to ensure that we are going to make our vulnerable adults and children safe, then close and detailed scrutiny has to be essential. 3 policy and performance committees just will not allow for opportunities to ensure that we don't return to the failings of the past. And then, Mr. Mayor, the new administration under the new constitution will stifle committees and will stifle council meetings because there will simply be insufficient time for full debate. And whilst we may be able, as opposition members, to put questions to cabinet members, sure they probably will be, cabinet members will then have the opportunity to come back and wax lyrical for 5-10 minutes extolling the virtues of their role. This constitution, Mr. Mayor, in front of us tonight is nothing more than a cynical attempt to stifle debate, exclude members and totally erode democracy in Wirral. Power in the Town Hall will then be replicated outside with the scrapping of the area forums. And I see that I'm getting the lights, Mr. Mayor, so I will hold up proceedings. But Mr. Mayor, this is an extremely dark day for democracy, and it's even more a dark day for this council here in Wirral. This council is moving towards a future of yet more failings where people are just dictated to by a few, and that certainly cannot be right. At the moment, Mr. Mayor, our signage when you come into Wirral says welcome to Wirral. Well, I have to say those signages are certainly going to be changed, because what it will have to say in the future is welcome to the People's Republic of Wirral.
Councillor Gilchrist.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have been to, I think, all the events in the some members for not going. But I stood with the answers to the questionnaires that were given to members. Clearly, those members who replied wanted to hold the executive to account, they wanted policy development and review, and they wanted pre-decision scrutiny. So I welcome those developments. And the question is, have we got the structure right? The other question asked was, should Cabinet members attend policy and performance committee meetings? And the practice has been that Cabinet members haven't. So when I chaired scrutiny, I was very encouraging to Cabinet members to come and grateful when they did come. Go back a year, we're in the same place almost as we had the questionnaire that Councillor Hill referred to. What the answers there, 67% wanted inclusiveness of members in decision making, 52.5% wanted accountability, and 55% wanted the council to become a decision-making function rather than a shouting match of political points scoring forum. So the evidence for all these things is there. The question is whether we have the right steps in hand, whether we've done the work. Reference was made to the working party. Sadly, we didn't start work till December. I have been asking about whether work had started the previous October, but it was some time before it got going. And sadly, when the meetings did take place, they did last a short time. And often, papers were arriving fairly late, if not last minute, 2 days before. And in addition, I'm sad to say, despite requests, we did look at detail of some councils, but never debated it in detail. I looked at standing orders from varying other councils and drew them to members' attention. We looked at area forums in other councils while we started to debate the neighbourhood or constituency model. And as I think Councillor Watt said, neighbourhoods, they are not, was the phrase that Councillor Jeffrey Watt said. I looked at Nottingham, I looked at Oldham and I said, are they bound to constituencies? No, they're not really. I want to deal with some of the points raised. Councillor Fact suggested there was no change because of being pushed amendment for. He actually said carry on with the work and try to achieve a change which we believe in. The question about scrutiny and time. It was said you can have panels do more work, but I do not think the limited number of committees is right. So, Mr. Mayor, there are drawbacks. I don't think we've got it right. I think more work needs to be done. Let's emerge with a model we have confidence in rather than one that members are still questioning. Finally, on Councillor Clements, the blank page is page 190. The scrutiny calling guidelines aren't there because they're still yet to be worked on. Thank you, Chair. There are areas that need work on and we ought to be working to get it right.
Thank you, Mr. Fair. The rationale for these changes has been clearly set out. The critical external reports about the culture, governance and toxic politics of this borough, and the improvement board and peer challenge reinforcing the need for us to tackle these important issues. The changing roles of councils driven by financial imperatives and government legislation in terms of localism are also drivers for these challenges, and embracing the new way of facing outward from the town hall into our communities, forging partnerships and plans which will deliver priorities for local people. If we are welcoming external scrutiny and challenge, which clearly on an all-party basis we were, and are committed to change, then clearly we should be taking steps to address these matters in a timely way. I do want to say something about engagement. We have been very keen to ensure, and I personally have, that all members have had the opportunity to shape the future of this council. It is disappointing that at the 5 visioning events, attendance by members opposite has been so poor. We would continue to encourage you to get involved in the debate around these changes. They are going to affect all of us. I do want to thank all those members of the Democracy Working Party, not only for their engagement since I took the chair in December, but for the work they've done prior to that. Clearly, there are differing views about the scrutiny model, and some members who regard the old committee system as the only way to do our business. And although we couldn't reach consensus, we did in fact have a lively debate and the opportunity for cross-party discussion on all of the issues. I did outline to the Democracy Working Party at the December 2012 meeting that I believed events were overtaking us, and the budget challenge, coupled with our improvement work, would mean that we needed to make progress in this year. With regard to the new policy and performance committees, they will in fact be pre-decision scrutiny, which is a real step change in ensuring that members have their say on policy formation, and they will also focus on task and finish work and will make for more inclusive and informed decision making. Their makeup will be determined by the proportionality principle which governs our current committee places. And it is proposed that the first meeting of each committee will receive a presentation from the Strategic Director setting out the key issues for that area of work, together with the risks and performance measures from which plans can be drawn for the focus of the work plan. With regard to the terms of reference for the new committees, we took the view that we would not present such terms to you, as it would not take account of the contributions from the debate this evening.